Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing a beginner's guide to iMovie on the Mac. I've done this a few times on iPhone, but iMovie on the Mac is such a staple piece for a lot of people. It's amazing software and it is free on your Mac, so just download it from the App Store and I'm going to show you how to edit on there, the basics, as well as some tips and tricks here and there to help you better utilize the software. So if you're ready, let's get started. As you can see here in my dock, we have iMovie, and this is what it looks like when you open it up. So you can either go to create new or you can go to media to import media into iMovie. But we're gonna just start with a new project. We're gonna click create new, then you can choose trailer or movie. I'm gonna be focusing on the movie for this video because that is the most popular one. So let's go to movie here, and then you have this little area here. So this can be very intimidating if you don't know what's going on. So let's just cut this down to basics. So this down here is where all your clips are going to be. This is going to be your workspace where you actually do the editing for the video. Up here is going to be where all your media is going to be saved. So all your video clips, photos, everything that you want to use in your project, you're going to import it to this section here. And then this area is where you can watch basically what you're editing. It's going to show you everything that's in your timeline here at the bottom. And then here we have some of our basic controls for editing our clips. So that is the most basic parts. Then here you'll see, I'm gonna go through this a bit more when we have our clips in, but this is just to manage your timeline here. Again, you will see when you actually have your clips in. Then here at the top, you have all of your different sections for editing. So like I said, this section right now is for importing your media and where all your videos and photos are gonna be. As soon as you click on, let's say, audio and video, it's gonna show you all the audios that it has here. So these are some sound effects and music and things that you can use in your video. Then we have titles here, which are all the text options that we have. We have backgrounds here, which have some cool backgrounds that you can use. And we have transitions. So let's first just start off by importing all our footage. So whatever video it is you want to edit, that's now the time where you're going to import all that footage from Finder on your laptop. Here you can see I have my video importing. You can import as much footage as you want, but I'm just gonna stick with this clip for right now. And I'm just gonna drag that. So you just click and hold and drag that into your timeline. You can also just click this plus button here and it also add it to your timeline, whichever one you want. So here we have our clip, and I'm gonna first start off with just basically editing this clip, taking out all the parts where maybe not talking, the parts where you messed up, something like that. So I'm gonna cover keyboard shortcuts real quick because this is gonna save you so much time when editing. So to split a clip, you can either tap on the clip, right click, and then do the split clip or trim to playhead, whatever. But the quickest way to do this, if you learn this, you're gonna save yourself so much time when editing. Command B will cut your clip. So as you can see now, this one clip now is two separate clips. The position where this little line is where it's gonna do the cutting. So that is very, very important to know. So Command B is gonna be your best friend. Definitely utilize this shortcut. Otherwise, you're gonna be spending a lot of time right clicking, clicking split clip. So that is definitely necessary. Then also to select a clip, you just click C and you can see this clip is selected, and then we're gonna click backspace to delete. So that is the basics for splitting. So again, Command B to split, C to select, backspace to delete. So that's the basics of cutting and splitting clips, which we usually call the rough cut, because you're just going in, cutting out all the pauses, cutting out all the mistakes. So that is how you do that, really easy. And usually this is the most boring part of editing. So let's get into the more fun things. I first just want to quickly show you. So if you have your clip here in your timeline, or clips, depending on how many you have in here, you can also, like I showed this section, expand the timeline or make it thinner. So basically, it just means how your clip is gonna be showed. So as you can see, this clip is now very small. So all the little waveforms, which is where you're speaking, is very compressed and you can't really see what you were doing, and you can really be very precise with where you're going with your playhead. So zooming out with this bar here makes it a lot bigger and gives you a lot more control with being precise exactly where you're cutting or splitting, or just seeing exactly when what happens, so you can quickly scroll through your timeline. So that is very helpful. So make sure you utilize that, or you can just use 2 fingers on your trackpad and drag it like this to zoom in and out with your timeline. Also here in settings, what I also just quickly want to show you is clip size. So this will be helpful for you if you have more than 1 clip here, depending on how you like your layout to be. You can make this clip bigger, so you can make it like almost the entire timeline size, or you can make it smaller like this. So that's just really depending on your personal preference, how you want this clip to be viewed in your timeline. You can also turn off or on if you want to see these waveforms, but I found that very helpful to see where there's any silent parts that I can cut out. So I don't recommend turning that off, but if it's not like important to you, you can also turn that off as well. So since we now have our clip on our timeline, I'm just going to select my clip. Again, you can click C to select, or you can just tap with your finger. And we're going to go into all these controls here. So all the changes we're making here is going to be affected by the clip that we have selected. So the first section we have here is for color correcting. I don't really mess around with this too much, but you have auto, so it automatically improves video quality. You can do that and see if it does something for you that you like. I'm going to click undo. If you want to know how to undo, all you need to do is use a keyboard shortcut called Command Z. And if you want to redo, it's just Command Shift Z. Again, keyboard shortcuts are going to be your best friend. You can also go ahead and click on this magic wand, and it's supposed to basically improve how your video looks. Sometimes it doesn't really do all that much, but here you can see there's a very slight difference in how the skin tones kind of look, but not that much. You can also use match color, which is very cool, but it really depends on what you use to match the color with. So if you have like a screenshot, I'm going to quickly import an image. So I have these 2 images here, and as you can see, they each have a unique like look to them based on the color correcting that this person used. So what you can do is you can just select your clip, go to match color, and then you can choose one of these images to match the color to. And as you can see, our clip is now changing based on that. So this is really helpful also. So if you find a video that you like the color scape of, you can try this out. It's not always going to be 100%, but if you want to try it out, you can like try out matching colors. If you're not very good at color grading, this really helps a lot and saves a lot of time because you don't have to tweak everything. So matching color is also really helpful. Just take a screenshot or something of a clip that you really like the coloring of and see if it matches and does something good for your clips. Then we have white balance here, which basically you can select a color on the video frame using the eyedropper tool, and then it will match the white balance to that. So you can play around with this. I don't usually touch it too much, especially if you're new to video editing. This is not going to be very important to you. Just try to have your video clips that you are setting up with your camera, good lighting, all that kind of stuff. And then we have skin tone balance here. Again, you can select a color and change that. Again, you can try that out. I just don't recommend playing around with it too much because sometimes you can get confused. Then the next section here, which is this section, you have some more color correcting tools. These are more basic. So the first section we have here is this little bar with different toggles. So you have 5 different toggles here. This one here that is like half a circle is your contrast. So this, as you can see, moves with the second circle. So you can adjust your contrast here. So that's kind of like the contrast between light and dark. Then here we have our brightness. If you hold down on these little circles long enough, it will tell you what basically that circle does. So adjust brightness to make the clip lighter or darker. You can play around with that. Also, this is your highlights. So you can play around with that, and also your shadows. So these are all little color corrections that I recommend making like minute changes to improve your video. You also have your saturation that you can play around with. So this is also really helpful to make your colors more vibrant. So you can play around with that. And then lastly, we have your temperature. So this is more colder, this is more hot. Again, minute changes are key because otherwise you can really mess up your clip. But again, Command Z to undo. You can also just click here to reset all your little adjustments if you want to just have your clip back to normal. Next up, we have your cropping. So this is helpful if you want to crop your clip. So the first one here is fit. So depending on the size of your clip, if your clip is not the exact size as this little frame that we're working in, it's just gonna fit your clip to that frame. Then you have crop to fill. Again, it doesn't really do anything when you just click on it, but you can drag it here to crop to just a certain part. And then it will crop your clip. And then lastly, we have Ken Burns, which is a really nice effect if you want to do zoom ins or things like that. So you set a start point. So my start point is going to be at the clip in full frame, and the end point you can also set. So as you can see, it just sprung to the end of my clip here. So the entire duration from start to end is going to take for how long ever your clip's length is. So for the entire duration of this whole clip, it's going to go from the start point to the end point. So this is more useful in smaller cases. So let me just show you what that means. So I'm gonna quickly just cut my clip from this point to right here. It's just a very random point. Select our clip. Let's go back to cropping in Ken Burns. You set your start position and you set your end position. As you can see, it goes from the start of my clip here to the end of my clip here. And then you just click on the correction mark. And then for the entire duration for that clip, it's gonna zoom in on wherever I set the end position. And that's how you can do that. So you can do a zoom in, or what you can do is if you go to Ken Burns, you can click on this option here, and then it sets your start position at the close-up and the end position at the full frame, and then basically it's zooming out. So that's just the opposite, so you can just do the inverse here, which is really helpful. And then lastly here, we just have to rotate your clip if you want to do that. So those are basics for cropping, and you have different options. So fit is just basically the most standard. Then here we have stabilization. So this is helpful if you have any B-roll footage where you're holding the camera and maybe moving in on a subject or something. To stabilize your footage, you can use stabilize shaky video. You can turn that on, and then we'll kind of analyze your clip and make it more stable. And then you can also set how much it should stabilize your video. Sometimes if you do it too much, it will make your video look all weird, but you can try this out. And then it also has this fixed rolling shutter. I just quickly want to show you like a case scenario for stabilization. So as you can see here, I don't have the most stable clip. It's on purpose just to show you kind of what I can do. So again, we're going to select our clip here and stabilize shaky video. It's going to analyze for dominant motion. So this might take a while depending on how shaky your footage is. It will usually crop it in a bit because that's just to compensate for the stabilization. So if you know you're going to be shooting shaky footage, I recommend stepping a bit back than you normally would, just to compensate for the stabilization. So then this is what it's looking like, which is quite an improvement from what we had. Again, it's not perfect because this was tremendously shaky footage, so it does make it like a weird wavy look sometimes. But again, compared to what it was, do this and then you can see the complete difference in stabilization is really insane. So that is really helpful. Next up, we have here just volume. So here you can just select how high or low your volume you want it to be. You can set it to 100, which is the standard. So that's just full volume, nothing changed to it. You can change it down, or you can go even higher to like 400%. I don't recommend going too high with your audio because sometimes it will just really mess it up and make it sound like it's just bursting through speakers. So I just don't recommend playing around with it too much. But obviously if you have a significantly softer footage, you can bump up the volume. Then you can just go here to mute the entire clip's audio, or you can go to auto and then it will make adjustments for you. The next section we have here is for background noise. So you can click here on reduce background noise, and that will kind of isolate your voice if you're speaking to the camera or something, and just focus on the main audio that's in your clip. So you can just select that and also select the intensity of that, so how much it will reduce the background noise. If you set this too high, it might sound a bit like you're speaking like in a bubble or something. I don't really know how to explain it, but you'll hear it if you adjust it. Just play around with it, see how it takes your video into consideration. I think this also depends on the quality. So since in this video I do have like a mic on me, I don't think it's gonna pick up on a lot of background noise anyway, but if it has to compensate for a lot of background noise, it might sound a bit more muted than you might like. So play around with that and see how it works on your clips. Next up here we have speed. So this is just, you can set it to normal, slow, fast, freeze frame, or custom. So this is just to speed up your clips. When you set it to slow, you can select how slow you want it to be. You can go to fast, select how fast, and then you can go to custom here and select a custom slowness or fastness, whatever. And then freeze frame is basically if you have a clip here, and as you can see, I'm talking, and then I'm gonna click freeze frame. So then for the entire duration from the point that I set the freeze frame, it's gonna have just like a still image of me at that exact point, and then you can go on. So you can play around with this. You can adjust how long you want your freeze frame to be by toggling this section here at the top. So that is how you can set freeze frames to your video. You can also put your clip in reverse here, and also if you are speeding up your video or you're slowing it down, usually sped up videos have you in a higher pitched voice and slowed down videos usually have you in deeper voice. Then when you click on preserve pitch, it won't really make a lot of adjustments to your voice. You probably sound a lot like normal. The next thing I want to show you is a little advanced, so if you don't care about this, you might just want to forget I'm mentioning this, otherwise it might confuse you. But you have the ability to speed up or slow down your videos. But say you just want to speed up a little part of your video and you also want it to happen kind of smoothly, then you can also use the range tool to only select a part of your clip and speed it up. So you have the option to just split your clip and then only speed up the clip that you have selected, or you can click R, which is your range editor. So you'll see an icon appear at the bottom of your arrow, and then I'm just gonna select this portion. So for this portion, I'm gonna set the speed here to fast. So here you can see then this little section here is now sped up. And you can also here drag this to adjust how sped up you want it to be or not. So these little circles are just here for adjustments. So for the entire duration of this first part, it's gonna be normal, and then it's gonna speed up or transition into speeding up. So normal, 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 and then all of a sudden it speeds up. So you can do that. You can also do this with slowing down. So if you have like a clip where you're moving and you kind of want it to all of a sudden be slow motion and then fast again, you can use the range editor again, hold in R, select your area and select the speed that you want your video clip to be. So you can go here to slow and then adjust that. If you're not sure how to select that range again, you just click on this little icon of the rabbit and then it will show you the range that has been sped up. So that is really helpful. Again, I know not everyone will be using this, but I did want to mention it because there's a lot of power hidden in iMovie that's not like in plain sight. So that is also real cool. Then next up we have here our filters. So you can just see here clip filter is set to none. But if you click on none here, you will see this pop up, which is choose clip filter. So here you can choose a filter if you want. These are pretty outdated filters, but if there's something you like, then that's really cool. But then you can just choose like a filter, and then you can also, when you have like a filter selected, choose the strength of it. So this basically 0, it doesn't show it at all. And then you have slight adjustments to it, and then 100 is like the filter is fully on you. So you can play around with that as well. And you can also add audio effects. So if you click on none, again, something will pop up, and then you have different audio effects that you can play around with, which will basically change your voice or whatever you're putting the audio effect on. And the last section we have here is info, where you can just see more info about your clip. Next, I want to show you to add some titles and things. So I'm going to go here to titles. So I'm going to go through very quickly because it is quite simple. So all these little titles have different transitions. So as you can see, there's a little line there on the title. And if we drag it from the beginning, you can kind of see what animation that title has. So this one is just like a fade in. As you can see, each one has also a name. So lower meaning it's in the lower part of your video, and then centered, as you can see, the title is centered in your video. 4 corners here, you can see it does like this little animation when it comes in. You also have these ones that are a little more glammy, these ones which are a little more animated, and you really have just a lot you can choose from here. So play around with some of these titles. It's really easy to add one. So I'm going to choose the slide one here real quick, drag that over my clip, and here you can see this is what it looks like. You can also drag it here to make it last longer in your clip or not, so it shows you the amount of time that is remaining on your clip. So you can drag that. Then when you have your title selected, you have a few options here at the top, which these are all the same ones, but this one here is for title specifically. So you choose your font here, so whatever font you have available on your Mac. You can go to show fonts, and then it will show you all the fonts that you have on your computer if you have some custom installed ones. So I'm gonna choose one of my favorite fonts, which is Margin here. It's always gonna say title text here. How you edit this is you go to this section here in your preview, double tap, and then you can go ahead and write whatever you want. So I'm just gonna write here, hello. This title is set to all caps, so that is why my font stays in all caps. And then you also have how your text is aligned, so to the side, in the middle, to the other side, and if you have a paragraph, you can have that one there. And then you can also here adjust some other things. So this depends on the type of font that you have. So my font doesn't have a bold option, but I know a lot of fonts have, so you can set it to bold. You can set it to italic. You can go ahead and outline it, which is really nice, especially if you have a background that really is hard to see the text on. You can add a background and then select the color of your text here as well. And then basically this is gonna be my text then, however you set yours up. You can also go to reset here, and then we'll reset your entire style that you put it in, and it will take it to the default font. And then just click on the correction mark here when you're done editing it. So that's how it works for all of these little titles. You just go ahead and you set all that, and then you're good to go. It really is an easy to grasp concept for text. It works basically the same for all these titles. You just edit your text, edit your font, all that stuff. It's very basic and very simple to use. Then we have backgrounds here, which is very helpful if you want to maybe just add a solid piece of color into a clip here. As you can see, just choose one of these backgrounds if you want to. They also have one of these that has a map, which you can drag in. And then you can also choose what route you want to take, where you want to set the location, the style of the map, all that kind of stuff. So these are some cool things you can play around with. I know not everyone who makes videos on iMovie is just simply YouTubers. This can be for businesses promoting certain things. So all of these are very helpful to use. And then we have transitions here. So this is the part that goes in between two clips. So it's transitioning from the one clip to the other. So I'm going to quickly show you how this looks. So if I want to transition from this clip to this clip here, all you need to do is drag in your animation. So here you can see you have different animations that happens for transition. So you have cross blur, you have another blur, you have spin out. So these are all different animations. Some of them are very extravagant. Page curl, let's just go with that one for fun. You just drag that in between two clips. Then you can also adjust the duration by double clicking on it and setting how long you want the transition to take. So I'm just gonna go with 1 second, and then this is the transition. So that is really self-explanatory. So transitions are really cool for transitioning from one part of your video to another. I also quickly want to show you green screens and things like that. So this is very helpful if you have green screens and you want to add some cool things to your videos. Green screens you can find on YouTube, you can find it on websites, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to quickly import a green screen. So how this works is you select your green screen and you drag it over. So any clip that is over top of your main clip in your timeline, it will have this extra section here. So if you can see here, if I drag this clip over, it's also going to have this extra section, which gives us different options. So the first one here is cutaway. So this means the clip will take up the entire frame and will just be completely over top of your main clip in your timeline. So the audio of this clip will still be playing of the main clip, but you will just have this entire clip covering it up. So this is nice for B-roll if you just want to add that over it. Then we have here green/blue screen, which I'm going to get into with this clip here. Then we have split screen here, which will just make it half-half. So the clip at the top and the clip at the bottom. You can select which position, which clip is going to be, bottom, left, right, whatever. And you can also adjust how long that slide in is by selecting this little thing here to show how long it will take to transition that clip in. So that is split screen. And then the last one we have here is picture in picture, which is really helpful if you just want to add like cute little things. So for instance, if I wanted to drag in a little subscribe image, I can drag that over my clip. And then I can also go to here, go to picture in picture, and then that allows me to be able to resize it to however I want it to be and position it wherever I want it to be on my video. You can also select a different like animation for it coming in. So right now it's on dissolve, and it's gonna come up. You can also set a border to it if you want to or not. Usually I just set it to no border. So here you can see this other clip that I have here. I can quickly just select it, resize it, put it wherever I want it to be, and then we're good to go. Also, since this is just an image, it's not a video, it's gonna automatically turn on Ken Burns, which is why it's moving up. So you can just click on fit and then it won't do that. It won't move weirdly in your clip. You can just adjust it where you want it. Also, I just quickly wanna show you this section here, which is keyframing. Keyframing is probably the most complicated thing to explain to anyone. So keyframing is basically what we did with Ken Burns, where you set a start position and an end position, and for the entire duration of that, it will take to do that whole animation that you set. But with keyframing, you can do this with any movement and anything. So as you can see, I have my clip selected here, and at this point here, I'm gonna add a keyframe, which is this little diamond here. Then let's move it a few seconds later. We're gonna move it to here. Move it a few seconds later, move it to here. And automatically every time, once you set a starting key point or keyframe, every time you move your item, it will set a new keyframe. So then this is what it looks like. We have animated a little subscribe button onto our video. So that is keyframing. You click here, you add your keyframe, and you animate whatever you want. So like for instance, if you just want to, I'm just going to quickly reset this. I'm going to drag my subscribe button here just out of frame. I'm going to add a keyframe at this point, and then at this point, I'm going to drag my subscribe button in. Then it will do a little animation of it coming in. I think I said it a little too slow, but there you can see kind of what you can do with keyframing. So highly recommend playing around with keyframing with your videos that you put over your videos or photos. It's really a lifesaver. Also do note that you can only add one type of media over your clip. So you can't have like one video and one image over one another on the main clip. It's only one overlay over your main clip. So now let's finally get to the green screen. Again, you just go here, you go to green/blue screen, and then it will just remove the green parts and you have your green screen removed, and you have a little thing, whatever is on your green screen. You can do this with text as well. Since iMovie doesn't have all that much text, you can add like a green screen behind some text and have that as a green screen. You can also select the softness here. If it's not like quite precise with removing the type of green that you have on your green screen, you can adjust that. You can also clean up by cropping your green screen. Just if there's any unwanted areas, you can crop it. And also eraser is just to erase any parts that might be interfering with your green screen. And then when you're happy with it, you just click on your correction mark and then you're good to go. When I use green screens, I use them quite a lot for adding like cute little borders. So this is an animated border that I have a green screen of. I can go here, click on green screen, and then it's just my little border remaining. So that's kind of also an example of what you can do with a green screen. Now I want to quickly show you just to add music. So here at the bottom, you see you have this little section. So you can either use music that you have on your computer, or you can use their music library, which is this section here. As you can see, they have so many different types of sound effects. So this is helpful if you want to add some sound effects. So all you need to do is you just drag that into your timeline and it will add it in for you. Here's like a golf hit, which you can add. So those are all the sound effects. And then you can go here to effects and you can go to see more info. And then you can go to theme music, or Final Cut Pro sound effects is also here. The theme music here, we have 7 songs that you have to choose from that you can just add as background music. So again, you just drag it in. I highly recommend just finding music on like free to use websites. Make sure it is copy-free music if you're gonna be using it to use in your videos, like on YouTube or things like that. Make sure it's copyright free. So there are a bunch of like YouTube channels that have free copyright free music. You can just search it and find some that works really nice for your videos. Or you can go to YouTube Studio. They also have like a whole set of library of just background music that you can use. You can use platforms like Thematic or Epidemic Sound. Some of them have free options, like Thematic has some free options, but it's also a subscription. So you can go ahead and look around for some good background music for your videos. But there is an option here in iMovie to add background music, but that is just how you can go ahead and add background music or sound effects to your video. The last thing I quickly just want to cover is voiceovers. You have the option to use voiceovers here. So just tap on it and then it will ask to access your microphone. When you want to start your voiceover, you just click start recording and we'll count down from 3, 2, 1. And then it will start recording your voice. You can see here the audio levels, and here, once you're happy with it, you stop here. And then you can just listen to it and hear if you're happy with it. Also, these little controls here are where you can choose which device you want to record your voiceovers on. So if you have an external mic that you want to record it on, you can just go here and choose which mic you want to use. So I can use my phone's mic here as well, which is really helpful because the Apple ecosystem is amazing. And you can choose the volume and mute project if you are wanting to voice over, so you don't have that in the background. So that is all I believe I wanted to share for iMovie for the whole editing part. And then once you're happy with your project, you can just click here on the share option to save your whole video. So you just click export file. By the way, save current frame is if you want to have, like, say this one shot, which is a terrible shot by the way, you can just click share, save current frame, and it will just save that little frame of you. So I use this a lot when I need thumbnail images. I just pose in the video and then save current frame, and then you're good to go. But yeah, to export the video, click export file, choose the video format. So you want video and audio or just audio, whatever. You can choose the resolution you want, the quality, and also compress better, faster, or better quality. So you can choose all that, and then you can just click next and choose where you want to save it, and then you can save that to your files. I tried my best to go as most in detail as possible without rambling on too much, but I feel like this video is gonna be very long. I'm losing my voice now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you out and you got some tips on how to edit on iMovie, and you're now ready to just start creating. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.